So I'm a little bit uncomfortable, or a lot uncomfortable, with the way that things seem to be shifting around us, where our way of doing sports radio seems to be something of the past, and this man's way of doing sports radio is the present and the future. And so while I'm uncomfortable with some of the developments recently everywhere around us, I also kind of want the desperate rub that comes from having one of the biggest guys in sports radio be on with us and lend us some of his audience, because his philosophy of no politics, no news, just sports is blowing up. So we are joined again by Shane Backalatta, KGMT Game Time in Scottsdale, Arizona. And my understanding is that he's a little bit bothered with me dragging him into politics the last couple of times that he's been on. And so he just wants to talk sports and nothing but sports. So Shane Backalatta is on with us. And you want to talk what? Diamondbacks, Cardinals, Suns? What do you want to talk?
Yeah, Dan, what happened was, and first off, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. That was rude of me. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure to be here. First off, I appreciate you having me on for the couple of visits I had with you. But here's the truth. You scuffed up my brand, is the way I'm going to put it. You know my brand. My brand is no politics, no news, just sports. And you pulled me onto your show, and lo and behold, what happens? Suddenly, I've got some of my callers, some of the people in my community saying, hey, Shane, what happened? Why are you talking politics? And I realized, that's Dan Le Batard's brand. And so I just got to get back to sports. Look, we talked about my campaign, the congressional campaign. One time I mentioned I watched the news for fires. Suddenly I've got everyone telling me, you believe in global warming. I'm like, I don't know what's going on with that. Leave me out of it. I'm no politics. I made a comment about tainted meat, and suddenly I've got the meat industry coming down on me. I'm like, look, just give me your meat. I'll eat it. I don't care. So I just want to get away from that stuff, get back to what I care about, what I know, and that's sports.
So do you want to talk NBA, or do you want to talk, sports in Scottsdale? Where do you want to have the conversation go? I'm so desperate for what your audience wants that I just want to figure out what it is you want to talk about, because you got secrets I don't have.
I'd love to talk Cardinals. I mean, what's going on with the Cardinals? That receiving core they have. We've got a young quarterback with a load of mobility and a cannon for an arm. The kid should be playing, right field in Major League Baseball, and instead we got him as our quarterback with that cannon. I'll talk about that. Here's another. I call it a miracle. What the Suns did in the bubble. We spent 3 straight days talking about that. We didn't mention the bubble. We didn't mention why they were playing in Orlando, but we talked about those games and the emergence of Mikal Bridges. I'd love to get into that. Honestly, Dan, I'll do a little exchange program with you. I want to know how Tua's doing down there. A lot of my listeners are really excited about him. I'd love to hear how he's looking in camp.
Well, you must be very excited about DeAndre Hopkins and Larry Fitzgerald, and combined with Kyler Murray. That's something that people out there must be excited about.
We are thrilled. Hopkins is a field stretcher, and he's got stick-em hands, and the guy runs routes for miles. And the idea of having a young quarterback like we have pair with who's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback could not be more exciting.
Attention, the person you are speaking to is an inmate at Piedmont Federal Correctional Facility in Arizona. The person you are speaking to is currently incarcerated.
Hey, what was that? Shane, what was that?
I don't think I heard anything. Was there something? There was a little interruption. Shane,
there was something in the background. I couldn't totally make it out because it sounded far away, but it sounded a bit ominous. What was happening in the background there? I heard like a tape recorded voice or a megaphone voice.
Dan, look, this is not sports. The questions you're asking me about right now are not sports.
I know we had a deal, right? I would ask you about the Suns and the Cardinals. I know we had a deal, but I don't think I could ignore what I heard back there. Mike, did you hear it clearly? Were you able to hear clearly what happened back there with Shane Backalatta?
Yeah, I heard a message about somebody being incarcerated.
Is that what? Is that?
All right. I look, guys. I want to move on. I want to hear about Tua, and I want to hear how his hips looking, and I want to hear how his mobility is. But I had some off the field issues here in the Dale, and I'm in the pokey for my lawyer's on the horn right now, getting me out of here, and that's it. That's all I say.
I'm just going to Google this real quick here, see if there's
don't do that.
anything. See if there's anything here. Oh my God.
Hey.
Mike, this is from Reuters, Scottsdale, Arizona. Popular sports radio host and ascendant congressional candidate Shane Backalatta was arrested today by federal agents in a pre-dawn raid of his High Castle estate property. Sheila Pantone, a career prosecutor from the Justice Department, charges that Backalatta has illegally spent over $800,000 of campaign contributions on personal expenses such as teeth whitening and tribal band tattoos for his wife, Taylor, his three sons, Caden, Coulter, and Schilling. Other items on the warrant included a custom Escalade with the slogan Just Sports airbrushed on the side and an 11 by 14 foot commissioned oil painting of Backalatta and his wife in the midst of an adult action in a windswept desert setting. Backalatta yelled to reporters, "I'm appealing this to the commissioner," as agents pushed his head into a black town car. Over 40 agents arrested Backalatta and his wife, Taylor, a former Amway exec and Cardinals girl. Prosecutors said the show of force was because of the over 40 firearms that Backalatta owns and speaks about frequently on his highly rated radio show on KGMT Game Time. Backalatta could face up to 10 years in prison if convicted of all charges. Jesus, Shane.
All right. So can we talk about Tua?
I think this probably is something that you and we need to address. We can't just talk about the Dolphin quarterback situation. This is jarring.
All right. Yeah. All right. I'll get into it a little bit. Before I do, just please, and I've been in here. I've been in this facility for 36 hours now. So, okay. Before we go forward, how is Tua looking?
He's looking good. He is looking healthy. I don't know why it is that you continue to go down this path, but yes, he's looking strong. Dolphin fans are very excited about it.
How's the mobility?
I mean, he looks healthy, but Shane, I mean, don't you think?
How's the footwork?
The footwork is good.
Can I?
Yes, you can.
Can I simply say?
You can talk. I'm not. But this is not. This is not. He looks good, Shane. This is not me interrupting you. You tried this trick last time where you continue.
It's not a trick. It's an American trying to express himself. And all I want to know is, how does Tua's footwork look?
His footwork looks good. He looks healthy. But what about this claim by Reuters, this report by Reuters? What are you doing?
Look, Dan, you can't tell me you've never done a night in jail for partying too hard. I mean, you can't tell me you've never gone in the pokey because of a misunderstanding in your entire life.
I have, actually. I've been arrested, and I spent one night there for drunken, disorderly conduct at a Johnny Rockets. That's also not the point, and it's not this. It's not what's being reported here.
Look, there's a misunderstanding. There's a misunderstanding over some campaign funds. Someone decided, some career prosecutor decided to get some TV ratings and make a big show of it. And here's all I can tell you. Hand a Bible. This will be done in 24 hours. This will all disappear. There's a misunderstanding over the money we raised. I have told you this from the beginning, and I've told my listeners this, and if there's anyone from the Game Time show, any listeners out there, you can write down every word I say and take it to the bank. This will go away. I am not, I've said from day one, I am not a politician. I don't care about politics. I believed that when I got the campaign money, the money is basically given to me. And look, Dan, I didn't want to run for office. Can you imagine if you're going through your regular life and a car pulls up to you and someone just says, hey, Dan Le Batard, guess what? You're now working at a Wendy's. And they pull you in the car and they take you to a Wendy's and you have to start working there. Well, if they give you some money, you're like, wow, this is so terrible. They're at least giving me some money. So I thought the money, I don't know how campaign funds work. I thought the money was being given to me because I have to do this thing I don't really want to do. And I used it to make my life better and Taylor's life better. And Taylor used some of the money to make her life better. And our kids' lives, Coulter, Schilling, just to make our lives better. I'm just sports, Dan.
Over 2.3 million people are in jail and prison today. Black Americans make up 40% of those incarcerated, despite making up only 13% of U.S. residents. This is not an accident. It's a consequence of decades of bad policy decisions. As we address systemic racism, we must address the crisis of mass incarceration. Joe Biden promised an ACLU volunteer that, if elected, he'd reduce incarceration levels by 50%. We need him to follow through on that promise. A commitment now to release anyone who has served half of a drug sentence would send a signal that he is serious. The ACLU believes our criminal legal system is broken, racist, and unjust. Our next president must fix that and can start by releasing those hurt by the misguided war on drugs. Paid for by the American Civil Liberties Union, Inc., rightsforall.org.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up,
good night,
there's a lot of meetups,
hey everyone,
eat-ups, and hurry-ups. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up with the Fuel Rewards program and never pay full price for gas again. And snack up with in-store rewards to save even more at the pump. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell. And engines that continuously use Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
It's your apartment speaking, and I need some favors. When you're singing in the shower, just try going up a key. You're trying to be an alto when really you're a soprano. Oh, and if you could bundle your renters and car insurance with Geico, it's easy to do online and we could save money. And then when you read your murder mysteries at night, could you read out loud? But skip the murder parts because I get scared.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
The great thing about facts, they're proven. Like the fact that crude oil contains impurities. Or that base oil made from natural gas is 99.5% free of impurities. And the fact that Pennzoil is the first synthetic motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. It gives you unbeatable engine protection. The proof is in the Pennzoil. Based on Sequence 4A wear test using SAE 5W30. Ask for it at your local automotive retailer.
You don't understand that these are crimes, though? You don't understand that misappropriation of funds, this is felonious behavior.
I mean, I do now. I don't know what to tell you. Look, I'm not right wing, left wing. I'm a first baseman, and that's the truth. And suddenly there's all this money piling up in this office, and I've got kids with yellowish teeth. We've got a little too much fluoride in the water around the Dale. And suddenly there's this money around, and if I've got a chance to make Caden, Coulter, and Schilling's lives better by giving them whiter teeth, I'm going to do it. The bottom line with me is it's sports, but sports is also family. And Dan Le Batard or any of the liberal elite or the media out there wants me to turn my back on my family, well, guess what? Guess what? That ain't going to happen.
What does this mean to your political career, to your broadcasting career? Like, what is this? This is a stain that seems like it would be pretty hard to overcome.
You know, I've talked to Harry the Horse. You know, he had a little dust up with the law recently involving some shots fired, but he's been released. I talked to my campaign manager, Tim Brazenheimer. who has worked on some of the biggest campaigns around the country, and he actually says we've gone up a couple points in the polls.
What?
And yeah, he says we had a 3-point lead before. We're at 5.2 right now. A lot of the Dale is rallying around me. They know that I'm a victim of a click-hungry media, a gotcha media, a lot of elitists who can't stand the message that I'm taking out into the world, because the message is enough politics in our politics.
Shane, why do you have 40 firearms in your house?
Because I'm an American. I don't know what else I need to say to that question, Dan. And I feel like from now on, if you're going to ask me questions like that try and embarrass me about using my constitutional God-given right to own what are 14 handguns, 16 assault rifles, 2 Gatling guns, and a surface-to-air missile launcher, I don't know why that's a negative thing, because I'm an American. I feel like when you ask me a question like that, I get to ask you a question.
Okay, that's not really the deal, but because everything around you seems to get more popular, go ahead. I have more questions about what it is that's happened to you, but you wanna ask me what?
How's Tua's 15-yard outs looking? Has he got velocity on that? Is there a curve on the ball? Is it a straight line?
I mean, he's got a lot of arm strength.
These are bullets he's throwing. These are rockets.
He can make all the throws, yes.
He can make all the throws. Okay, now you go.
Well, what do you say to the person who reads this report and says you guys are talking to a criminal?
I would tell that person, have fun voting for some lying politician who sucks up to the media. Because anyone who would look at that article and believe it at face value, anyone who wouldn't vote for me for that article. And I would also tell that person, I would say, hey, buddy, hey, pal, and let's face it, don't say, what do you say to a person? The person's you, Dan, right?
It is me. I'd sort of disguise that question clumsily, but it's because I'm not as good at this as you are.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So here's what I'm going to tell you, Dan. I'm going to say the same thing. A bunch of people show up at your house. They tell you and your wife you're the greatest people ever, and they give you hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. What do you do?
I mean, I need some context. Am I running for office? Are they campaigning?
You're running for office, too. That as well.
Well, but then I know that there are rules that I can't.
Give me a break. You know, it's so easy to look at mistakes that other people have made and say, hey, if I had been there, I would have been perfect. You know what? If you put a blue cheese and sautéed onions burger and crisp cut fries with basil on them in front of me, I don't have one bite. Is that it?
No, I would eat plentifully. I mean, look at me. Of course, I would enjoy eating all of that. That sounded delicious, but it's not apples to apples. It's not blue cheese to federal crimes.
I mean, that's the bottom line. I don't know what to tell you, Dan. There's a lot of people down here in the Dale that still have my back. They understand what happened. There's a whole lot of money. I've got a beautiful wife, and I got to earn to keep her happy. And you can't put a big stack. You can't put 6 garbage bags full of cash in my garage and not have Taylor come knocking on my office, on my man cave. People get a big laugh out of that, by the way. So one of our favorite jokes, we call it, instead of an office, we call it a cave, like a man cave, like we're Neanderthals, men, because we can be. It's a big, hard laugh for a lot of people. And by the way, Taylor's a beautiful woman, and there's photos of her online. Google her, Taylor Backalatta, and I'm proud of my wife. A couple of them are nude photos. She did pose in Playboy back when it was still in print, and I'm still telling you to Google it. That's how proud I am of my wife. So at that point, I've got no option. I've got to put a smile on Taylor's face. I got to put a smile on Caden, on Coulter's face, on Schilling's face. These are aggressive kids. We've been giving them testosterone supplements since they were 6 years old. So these are aggressive, physically fit kids, Dan. And there's a saying, which I love, and anyone out there listening, you're gonna laugh hard. This isn't gonna be a chuckle. This is gonna be a hard from the belly laugh, and it's the key to a happy life, and that's yes, dear. I'm just giving some room for laughter if anyone wants to laugh out there, and so that's what I'm guilty of, Dan. I'm guilty of saying yes, dear. I'm guilty of loving my family, and people in the Dale know that. That's it. And that's why I went up in the polls, and that's why people aren't angry at me. So let me ask you a question now.
Okay. I wasn't done asking you questions, but our time is running short here.
How's his locker room presence? Seem like he can command that team?
I don't understand your obsession with asking me Tua questions. Yes, his locker room presence is good. He's a leader. He's a champion. He's somebody who learned under Nick Saban.
So he's got that look in his eyes. He's got that, the vets, even though he's the young kid coming in there with
Shane.
the
Yes, Shane, he looks the part. Yes, he looks like a great up-and-coming quarterback. Yes.
Why are you angry at me? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm speaking to Dan Levitard, host of a sports show. I'm Shane Backalatta, host of a sports show, and you're mad at me for bringing up...
Attention, your time with this inmate has now expired. This call is ending. Attention, the time with this inmate has now expired. The call is now ending.
Dan, looks like I gotta go.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, an awkward ending. Shane, thank you for being on with us. I don't even know if he's there anymore.
All right, Dan, always great talking with you, you and your crazy crew, and remember, no politics, no news, just sports.
Geico knows there are many reasons why you ride. From the thrill of the revving engine and pure adrenaline of flying down the highway, to the confidence of knowing that Geico always has your back with 24/7 access to claim service. But Ari Snyder has one reason in particular.
I had extremely large upper arms. They won't even fit into most shirts. Thankfully, biking really embraces vest culture, so I feel accepted.
Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.